Alrighty, folks, we're still 3-0 in our last three chairman plays on my website. And the good news is we have another chairman play going off here today. Not only do chairman members get access to the chairman play itself, they also get access to every single personal play of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. It's a full access, all-inclusive membership. And as an added bonus, you also get access to my chairman podcast absolutely free. It's included with your purchase. Now, if you don't need access to all of my personal plays, and you only want to access just one per day, you may want to think about signing up for my $1.99 daily best play. It costs just $1.99 for 30 days of service. You get one of my personal plays every single day for the next 30 days. The math works out to be just 6 cents a day. I currently have over 560 members who are signed up and active on my website right now. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into our part 2 video for Wednesday, July 19th, 2023. We're going to get started with the Red Sox at the A's, 337 East. Boston's the $2.25 favorite on the road, totals 8.5. Brian Bayo for Boston, Ken Waldichuk for Oakland. And out of 75-plus innings of work, Waldy's got only 2 wins on the year and a dismal .666 ERA. Now, the A's still have the worst record in baseball, and they score the fewest amount of runs. They're taking on Brian Bayo, who's got 7 wins and an ERA in the low 3s. But, of course, the strength of this Boston team has been their lineup of hitters. These guys are in the top 3 in hits per game. Masataka Yoshida, he has the highest batting average and OPS average on the roster. Justin Turner, second on the team in hits. Rafi Devers is questionable with a calf injury. Keep an eye on him. McGuire and Reyes are still out. Meanwhile, for Oakland on the other side, Laureano and Ruiz are still out for them. 7 out of Oakland's last 10 meetings with Boston fell under the total. They averaged under 2.1 runs a game during that time frame. Meanwhile, 6 out of Bayo's last 7 starts fell under for Boston. Give me the Red Sox -1.5, under 8.5 runs. Next matchup, Brewers, Phillies, 6:40 p.m. East. Philadelphia's -165 at home, totals 9 runs. Christopher Sanchez for Philadelphia. Colin Ria for Milwaukee. Now, Ria's got a handful of losses and a .471 ERA. Now, the Brewers are arguably the worst hitting lineup in the National League. They're in the bottom 3 in the majors in hits per game. They're facing Christopher Sanchez, who's got an ERA in the 3s, along with a .99 whip. The Phils have also been impossible to hit at the bank. They allow fewer hits per 9 at home than any other staff in the league. Harrison and Pache are still out for Philly. Anderson and Tellez are out for Milwaukee. The Brewers saw their last 4 straight on the road fall under the total. Meanwhile, Philadelphia saw 5 out of their last 6 Sanchez starts stay under the line. Give me Philadelphia -165, under 9. Next matchup, Yankees, Angels, 7:07 Eastern start time. The New York Yankees are -140 on the road, totals 8.5. Carlos Rodon for New York, Chase Silseth for Los Angeles. Now, the Angels did get the W in 3 out of their last 4 ball games. Victories over the likes of Houston and this very Yankees team. As a matter of fact, the Angels took the series' first 2 games from the Bombers. They actually held them to just 4 total runs in those victories. Now, when it comes to offensive production, the Angels continue to score runs despite their injuries. LA scored 40 total runs in their last 6 outings. Shohei Ohtani has an OPS of 1.072. He's also got a wins above replacement of 4.4. He's currently the league leader in homers, and he also has 76 runs batted in. Mickey Moniak's hitting .336 with an OPS in the thousands as well. Trout, Rendon, Drury, and Adele are all still out for Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Donaldson, Judge, and Bauer, they're still out for New York. 4 out of the Pinstripers' last 5 on the road stayed under the total. They're also 60% to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give me the Angels +1.5, under 8.5. Next ball game, Padres, Blue Jays, 7:07 Eastern first pitch. Toronto is $1.20 at home, totals 9. Jose Barrios for Toronto, Yu Darvish for San Diego. Now, Darvish has an ERA of 4.65. He does not have a winning record on this season. These San Diego hitters, they're also averaging just 7.6 hits a game on the road. It actually puts them in the bottom 3 in the majors in that category. They're going to have to face Jose Barrios, who's got 8 wins and an ERA in the 3s. The righty's fanned 105 batters, and he also has a 1.16 whip. Now, the Blue Jays have also been incredibly tough to hit in their own building this year. These guys are actually striking out 10.5 batters a game on their own diamond. Of course, that leads the majors in that particular category. 7 out of Toronto's last 10 outings fell under the total. They're also 10-3 to the under in their interleague home games. Give me the Blue Jays minus $1.20, under 9. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be White Sox at the Mets, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. The New York Mets are minus 215 at Citi Field, totals 9 runs. Justin Verlander for New York, Touki Toussaint for Chicago. Now, Toussaint's looked pretty good in limited action. He's got 20 strikeouts and just 20-plus innings of work. He also has himself an ERA of 3.10. The Sox got the W in 2 out of their last 3 ball games. Both of those victories were against Atlanta. Of course, these Chicago pitchers have been tough to hit against at times. They're actually striking out more batters per 9 than any other pitching staff in the league. They're facing a Mets team on the other side, who's actually the worst hitting franchise at home in the National League. These guys are currently dead last in hits per game on their own field. And no real surprise here, folks. They're averaging just 3.9 runs a game in Flushing, Queens. And even if the bats do come alive here a bit, starting pitcher Justin Verlander, he's recorded only 3 wins in 75 innings. Verlander comes into today's start with a losing 3-5 record. Starling Marte is questionable for New York. Eloy Jimenez might not suit up for Chicago. 7 out of the Sox last 10 ball games fell under the total. New York went 70% to the under in their last 10. Give me the White Sox plus 1.5, under 9. Next matchup, Giants at the Reds, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. San Francisco's minus $1.15 on the road, totals 10.5. Ross Stripling for San Francisco, Graham Ashcraft for Cincinnati. Ashcraft's 4-7 on the season with an ERA just about in the 6s. Meanwhile, as a team, the Reds lost their last 6 straight. They got shut out 3 times during that stretch. And since my Ellie De La Cruz rant a few weeks ago, yeah, he hasn't hit a homer since. Now, they're facing a red-hot Giants team who won their last 7 straight. They scored a whole bunch of runs during that time frame. Austin Slater's batting .333 with an OPS in the 900s. Michael Conforto's the team leader in RBI. Now, Wade and Crawford are questionable for San Francisco. Kevin Newman's out for the Reds. 3 out of Cincy's last 5 road games did get over the posted total. They're also 6-1 of the over in their last 7 Stripling starts. Give me the Giants minus $1.15, over 10.5. Next ball game, it is going to be D-backs at the Braves, 7:20 p.m. East. Atlanta's the $2.25 favorite, totals 10. Charlie Morton for Atlanta, Ryan Nelson for Arizona. Nelson's got a 1.44 whip and an ERA just about in the 5s. Now, as a team, the D-backs lost 7 out of their last 10, and they just didn't do enough at the dish in those losses. They're facing a 10-win Charlie Morton, who struck out 115 batters this year, has an ERA in the low 3s. Morton's also backed by the most dangerous lineup of hitters in the National League. These guys lead the NL in run production and hits. Ronald Acuna, he's in the top 3 in the bigs in both batting average and OPS. He's also stolen 44 bases and has a 5.3 wins above replacement. Matt Olson's got the most home runs and RBI in the National League himself. Eddie Rosario's questionable for Atlanta. Sam Hilliard's out. Now, the Braves are 23-9 to the over against NL opponents at Truist Park. Meanwhile, Arizona's seen over 60% of their road games against National League competition get over the total themselves. Give me the Braves -1.5 over 10. Next game, Nats Cubs, 8:05 East. Chicago's $1.65 at home, totals 9.5. Kyle Hendricks for Chicago, Trevor Williams for Washington. Now, Williams has an ERA of 4.42 along with a 1.42 whip. Meanwhile, as a team, the Nats dropped 3 out of their last 4. Their pitchers allowed 39 total runs during that short stretch. They're facing a Cubbies lineup on the other side who can certainly score runs at Wrigley. These guys are a top 10 run producing lineup at home in the Bigs. Nico Horner leads the roster in hits and RBI. Cody Bellinger's hitting .308. Now, Swanson, Rios, and Madrigal are still out for Chicago. Chris Morel's questionable. Meanwhile, for Washington on the other side, Robles and Pineda are out for them. Washington saw their last 5 straight on the road get over the total. Chicago saw their last 5 straight in the friendly confines get over themselves. Give me Chicago -165 over 9.5. Next contest, Tigers, Royals, 8:10 Kauffman Stadium. Detroit's -145 on the road, totals 8.5. Eduardo Rodriguez for Detroit, Ryan Yarbrough for Kansas City. Now, Yarbs has just 2 wins on the year and an ERA of 5.29. Now, these Royals hitters are scoring fewer runs per contest than any other lineup besides Oakland. Now, they're facing Eduardo Rodriguez, who's got 81 strikeouts in just 76 plus. The lefty's got an ERA in the 2s along with a 1.00 whip. Now, this Detroit pitching staff, they've been solid on the road. They rarely walk anyone. And they're also in the top 5 in the American League in strikeouts per 9 while traveling. Matt Beatty's still out for KC. Salvi Perez is questionable. 7 out of KC's last 10 outings did stay under the total. Meanwhile, Detroit 60% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Tigers -145, under 8.5. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It's going to be in that Twins-Mariners game, 9:40 p.m. East. Seattle's -140, total 7.5. Luis Castillo for Seattle, Kenta Maeda for Minnesota. Maeda has recorded 5 losses in just 36 innings. He's also got an ERA of 5.50. And even if Maeda has a good showing, these Minnesota hitters have all kinds of problems at the plate. They're striking out more times a game than any other lineup in the league. They're actually fanning over 10.6 times a game on the road. They're facing a big strikeout guy in Luis Castillo here today. The Reddies punched out 122 batters for Seattle and has a 1.03 whip. Now, these Seattle pitchers as a whole, they've exhibited, let's try to spit that out. They've exhibited some exceptional control. They walk fewer batters per contest than any other staff in the league. Polanco, Gordon, Lewis, and Miranda are all still out for Minnesota. 6 out of the Twins' last 10 meetings with Seattle stayed under the total. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. Now, Seattle went 60% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Mariners -140, under 7.5. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Boston Red Sox -1.5, under 8.5 runs. Philadelphia -165, under 9. Angels +1.5, under 8.5. Toronto -120, under 9. White Sox +1.5, under 9 runs. San Francisco -115, over 10.5. Atlanta Braves -1.5, over 10. Chicago Cubs -165, over 9.5. Detroit Tigers -145, under 8.5 runs. With my next and final free pick, give me the Mariners -140, under 7.5.